Welcome to the best gambling show on the internet. This is the home of the money pick. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Week 10 upsets to bet. Always great to be here with you guys. I always feel great to be alive Wednesday with the upsets, with the over-under videos. Let's get to it. First upset, we got the New Orleans Saints at the Minnesota Vikings. Vikings are plus 2.5. Now, preface, if you're first time watching the video, Vikings are my team, but we've judged them really well this year, and I don't want to count them out of this game, and I think they win it, man. And there are structural concerns with the New Orleans Saints. I didn't like what we saw last week against the Bears. I know they got the W, and I know that wasn't quote-unquote a big game. But after we hit the money pick on them and the Colts, I felt like they were turning a corner. I felt like the offense would have a bit more juice. The team would have a bit more juice. But we just didn't see that, and I'm concerned because when you question a team mentally, which I do, like I have questioned Dennis Allen, I have questioned his motivation tactics and also his tactics on the board. I'm just wondering, do they have the will to beat the Vikings? And Vikings at home, we know that's going to be an absolute dogfight. The only thing that worries me from a Vikings perspective is Darrisaw's on the injured list. And if he doesn't play, that could create issues. And then you sprinkle in a little bit of Josh Dobbs. And we saw what that man did. He pulled a rabbit out of his hat at Atlanta last week, and you just can't count them out. And we know the Saints defense is good. We know this secondary can ball. It's just, I think the Vikings will be able to make 3 or 4 big plays. And normally, when you look on paper, you would think this Saints offense should be able to have themselves a day. This Vikings defense has looked good, but we know it's not even close to the most talented defense in the league. But the Saints offense always seems to leave something out there. They don't throw it deep enough. They don't utilize their weapons like Olave or Shaheed correctly. And I'm just left scratching my head. And, you know, we've talked about Carr, but I'm more focused on Pete Carmichael. This Pete Carmichael versus Brian Flores matchup. If I'm a Saints fan, I don't like that matchup. And we've seen what Brian Flores has done this year. He's made the Vikings defense win some games by themselves, a la against the Bears. So I'm looking at a game, and this is going to come down to the fourth quarter. This is going to come down to the last 3 minutes. And I'm taking the team that I think is better coached and that I think has more of a will to win, so to speak. Give me the Vikings at home plus 2.5. And I think they win the game. Next game, we got the Tennessee Titans at the Tampa Bay Bucs. Titans plus 1. I know this isn't the most earth-shattering upset, but, you know, I've been picking against the Bucs all year, and every week people come in and say, no, Bucs are going to win or Bucs are going to cover this. They haven't covered a lot this year, and they haven't played well this year. And I think this Will Levis situation will help the Titans. I think this team will have a bit of a breath of fresh air. The new era is starting. And when you look at the Bucs, I know they had a good game offensively against Houston. Let's not take anything away from them. Let's not take anything away from Baker Mayfield. But I just can't see them running the ball like they did against the Texans. Like, I can't see this bad offensive line pushing around Jeff Simmons and pushing around D'Amico Autry. I just can't see it happening. So I think we're going to get back to the Bucs modus operandi, run it up the middle on 1st and 10. You got a 2nd and 11, and then Baker's in bad situation after bad situation, and this Titans defense needs to respond. Like, I know Levis didn't put up 40 or 30 against the Steelers, but I felt like that Titans offense played well enough to win the game against the Steelers. The defense just had a complete brain farts on 2 drives. I think the Titans defense comes back, and I think this Bucs defense is also getting worn down. I mean, you saw what Stroud did to him last week, that absolute masterclass, but the secondary wasn't close to anyone. They weren't close to anyone, and I like the D-Hop player props. I like the Titans to win the game. I'm sure most of the bets will be on the Bucs. Give me the Titans, Vrabel in Florida. Next game, we got the Washington no-names at the Seattle Seahawks. No names, Commanders, plus 6.5. We had them on the list last week. And this week they're going to get a lot more pushback. And we know the Commanders have their limitations. I mean, they traded away 2 of their best defensive linemen, and we know the defense is the strength of what makes that team run. But I'm looking at Geno Smith, man, and, you know, you can have a laugh at me about last week with the Ravens. I completely get it. I completely understand it. But when I am looking at Geno Smith, I see a guy who's shot of confidence. And he's got 3-4 great weapons, 2 good tight ends, and he just can't seem to get anything going. And there's a lot of people blaming the Seattle offensive line. Are they a good offensive line? No. I think the Commanders will get a good pass rush. But Geno Smith is just holding the ball far too long. And when you got Sam Howell on the other side, like, listen, I'm not saying he's elite. I'm not saying he's the future of the Washington franchise, but what I am saying, he's gonna play fearless. He's gonna throw the ball down the field, and they have big play potential on this Washington offense. I think this is a grinder of the game. I don't think Seattle has some sort of come to Jesus moment. Really, the only time I was impressed with Geno Smith was against the Carolina Panthers. Other than that, I feel like he's kind of reverting to what he was, like a journeyman below the Ryan Fitzpatrick tier, and I feel like that's what Geno is. And I think this is a close game, 1-score game in the 4th quarter. Upset potential. I think the Commanders can win this game, and I really like them with the 6.5. Next game, we got the Cleveland Browns at the Baltimore Ravens. Browns plus 6. Listen, this is my job. I have no other job in the world. My job is betting and doing these YouTube videos. That's how I support my family. And I didn't get to this situation by getting timid. I didn't get to this situation by not making calls. And I think the Browns can win this game, man. Am I crazy for saying it? People were saying I was crazy for saying the Browns could cover. I understand what the Ravens are doing. I understand how impressive it is. And Lamar Jackson is playing the best fucking football of his career. We get it. We've all seen what happened. But I think this Browns team has the defense to deal with them. And that Seattle defense dealt with the Ravens offense really well. Unfortunately, Geno Smith had 3-and-out turnover, sack, fumble, and that's how that game went. I think the Browns will have a better offensive game plan, and I'm not saying Deshaun Watson is going to go out there and play well, but I don't think he's going to play worse than Geno Smith did, and you have to stick to your power rankings. And listen, I think the Ravens are a better team than the Browns. Do I think they're 6 points better, even with the home field advantage, travel mixed in? No, I don't. And I think this is a much more thinner margin. And like I said, I don't get into this situation where I'm at just following what the public does. And I'm going against the public. I'm going against the Ravens fans. I think the Browns can win the game. But I really like them against the spread. Don't snub your nose about this spread. Think about it, take a deep breath, and don't let like 2 performances from the Ravens shield you from that. And who's coming next week for the Baltimore Ravens? Burrow. Make sure you hit the like button. Make sure you share the videos. The best gambling show on the internet. I love all of you guys. I appreciate all the comments and support. I'll be in the comment section of the upset video. Ask me a question. Leave a comment. Let's go, guys.